Friday Football Fever, sponsored by Heartland Credit Union.
We've reached the final 3 weeks of the regular season. It's now do or die for several teams across central and western Kansas. Welcome into week 6 of Friday Football Fever. I'm your host, Michael Imami, as we start tonight in Mays with a battle of the split. Mays South making a trip down the road to face the undefeated Eagles. Here we go. Quarterback Braden Myovola off the play fake, quick pitch to Pierce George, and his vision and the Eagles gets him and the Eagles on the board first. Mays leads 7-0. Now Myovola on the keeper. He fakes out the defense and is in for the score. The senior so far is putting on a clinic. Here he is again, this time speed to burn out the door off the quarterback draw. Going in for another touchdown. He takes this 45-plus yards, avoiding the ankle tackle. Mays taking the battle of the split 49-0, the final score. All right, now to Northwest. They're hosting Manhattan tonight as the Grizzlies' DeAnthony Rivera makes a clean defensive play, breaking up the pass. Their defense steps up again, this time with Jamari Bland grabbing, get this, a pick 6. Great play by the linebacker right there. All right, now to Logan Fast and Kyron Taylor combining for the huge sack against Manhattan. This was a team whose defense, by the way, held Hayes to 8 points. They're coming back with a vengeance. Overall, great defensive game from Wichita Northwest. They end up taking this one 40-13, the final score over there. Now to Derby and Valley Center. Panthers pumped after the big dub last week, and so is the Hornet defense, knocking that ball out. But they finally get the yards back. Aries Finley running the ball right up the gut as it does come out, but they rule him down. Now Blade Clark moving the pocket, rolling, and he finds Michael Castillo. He staves off 2 tacklers and is in for the touchdown. Final score there, Derby all over Valley Center, 48-19. All right, you know what time it is. It's game of the week. 2 area Catholic schools with decades of history. Tonight marks another edition of the Holy War, only this year it's at a much bigger venue in Equity Bank Park. This was a game Bishop Carroll reigned supreme in for 24 years until Capon put an end to the streak in 2023. And since then, they've won 2 straight. Could they make it a third? Here we go. Opening kickoff, Capon able to secure it via the muff, and they end up taking over possession. A few snaps later, handoff goes to Wyatt Sullinger. He weaves past the defense and breaks free, in for the first touchdown of the game. Capon again, Cole Rapp scrambles left, launches a deep ball to Rocco Keller, and he just grabs it right here, inches from the end zone. And the Crusaders go QB keeper. Rapp pushes in for the tutty, and Capon's up 21-0. Now to the second quarter. Golden Eagles trying to find some momentum. Handoff gets to Cooper Herman, and he charges in for the touchdown. That cuts into the deficit, but the Crusaders, they aren't slowing down at all. How about Ken Huff? He had the game-winning TD a few weeks ago, breaking some tackles, and extends over the goal line. Golden Eagles possession. John Corrigan fires a rocket deep to Nick Wineland. He rips it away from the defender. That's going to be a touchdown, but Capon ends up holding on for the 35-13 win. And just like that, the streak continues for the Crusaders. Let's bring on our Asia Simone Smith. She had a front row seat to the action. And Asia, what a way to kick off week 6.
Yeah, Michael, I think it's safe to say that the Capon Mount Carmel Crusaders are entering a new era in this rivalry with their 3rd straight win over Bishop Carroll. And with this win, Capon keeps their perfect season record intact. They were just dominant from the start of the game. Immediately off the bat, a muffed kickoff allowed them to gain possession early, and they scored a touchdown within the first minute of the game. And it was a 21-point fourth quarter for them. Cole Rapp and his backfield were able to run the ball and throw it when they needed to put themselves in scoring position time and time again. Bishop Carroll, though, they did not make it easy. They put up a good fight, connecting on some deep passes. The Crusaders' defense showed out up front and in one-on-one coverage. That was what allowed them to pull ahead, and they had no sign of slowing down. Even through the fourth quarter, they would secure a fumble that led to another Capon touchdown, and they'd block Bishop Carroll's extra point. Here's head coach Weston Schartz. He had a lot to say about this rivalry. He didn't even realize they are 6-0 so far this season, but he says he values making progress each week, and he loves getting a win in front of this crowd, especially tonight. 7,485 people in attendance. That's the 18th most in any event at this ballpark, and the fan base, we sure felt their energy tonight, Michael. Here for you at Equity Bank Park, Asia Simone-Smith, KSN Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Football Fever. Salina South traveled to Goddard yesterday in hopes of getting their first win. We'll see if they could pull it off. Israel Tells, pressured. He's going to roll to his right and fire it right to Aiden Beach for the interception. Although the Lions, they couldn't do anything with it as he celebrates this with his defensive coordinator. There's still a nice play there. Still 0-0. They get the ball back, and Taylor Cape's pass is tipped and picked by Rashawn Jones, and it's a Cougars house call. 7-0. Lions with it again. Down 7. Brock Sullivan churning his way through the teeth of the defense, and he can keep on running to the win column. Goddard football gets the 7-point victory, 34-27. Your final score. All right, now Ark City visiting Goddard Eisenhower tonight. Braden Pappas takes the handoff, and he is gone. That is a 60-plus yard touchdown, folks. He's been doing it every single week. This week, no different. Now the Tigers, Nathan Martins making an athletic grab right here, snagging that one for the INT. To cap off the turnover, senior running back Pappas runs wide and finds the end zone again. He's having an unbelievable game. We talked about Maiolavola for Mays. This young man also a leading candidate for player of the night as the Tigers took the win, beating Ark City 49-21, your final score. Well, Fall Fest is happening in Rose Hill as the Rockets welcome in Circle. Picking it up here in the third, Kedron Jones with a handoff, and he makes his way up the sidelines for a nice gain. A couple of plays later, it's going to be Jones once again taking the ball, and he finds pay dirt. Rose Hill leads 36-6. Now Circle with it. Cole Wilbur is going to have the ball tipped, and it ends up being intercepted. This is by Abe Piper. Rose Hill takes this one by quite a few. 42-12, your final score there. Well, from Ike to now a little bit further south, we take you to Mulvane. The Wildcats are 4-1 after a big win at El Dorado last week. Would they be able to keep it up against McPherson? Battle of 4-1 teams. Mulvane hosting this one. McPherson has the ball first, and Carter Bankston. We got a nice QB keeper right here as McPherson's drive would end up stalling and would result in a field goal. Wolfpack's up 3-0. Now Mulvane with the ball. And it's going to be Grady Myers with the handoff, and he is off to the races. That is a touchdown, avoiding the shoestring tackle and finding pay dirt. Check out that sprint, too. Wildcats lead at 6-3 after the missed PAT. Second quarter, and it's Myers again, getting the ball and finding the end zone again. There's 3 players with candidates for player of the night. Mulvane ends up getting the big win, 34-3, the final score. All right, now to Southeast. They're hosting Garden City tonight. The Bison run turns out to be a defensive battle with an early pick from Garden's Ryder Carr. Now Garden City's Dayton Brunson rushes it into the end zone to cap off the drive. Southeast junior quarterback Mac Obar ends up finding his wideout Tazir Williams for a huge gain. And now Garden City sophomore, he gets right near the goal line. Garden City sophomore McCoy Hemmert makes the second pick of the night, keeping the defense electrified as this one's living up to the name. We do not have a final score for this one. Now to Heights, they hosted South tonight. Rashawn Johnson, who's made some great plays with his legs, unable to do it there as he tries on the quarterback draw but gets tackled for a loss. As we near the half, Trojans trail by 7. Johnson trying to open it up, and he's picked. DJ Alford drops it intentionally, though, as the Falcons were playing the field position game. Final score there, a tight one and a low-scoring affair. South getting a low-scoring win, 8-7 the final. Now, to El Dorado and Bueller. Ben Klaus getting some blocks until he's finally pushed in for the touchdown. Crusaders up 7-0. Now, they got a 14-0 lead, and there goes Klaus again. This time turning the corner and scores. Bueller with the big win. They put up 63 tonight as they get a 63-6 win. Now to Conway Springs, they hosted Sterling. Sterling's got the ball here, and there goes Zane Farney on the end around, and no one is catching him. That is a touchdown. Look at him fly right by the pylon. Conway, though, they get him back with a touchdown off the Wildcat formation, but Sterling, they were well in control from the start. 46-20, your final score there. As we have a couple more scores to show you here. Hayes beating Dodge City 42-19. They're back, and then Wichita West falling to Lewisburg 49-6. Couple more here coming your way. Campus falling to Hutchinson 42-0. The Salthawks getting back into the win column this week, and then Andover putting up 42 over Newton. We're back after the break, but here's a look at some more scores. All right, welcome back. Highlights have been shown, scores have been told. It's now time for my favorite part of the night, Play of the Week, and the winner goes to Braden Pappas. Now, mind you, I've said it before, he's done something like this every single week where he rips off a great run for a touchdown. He does it once to twice a week. Tonight, no different. We're showing him love. He gets the top play.